The Blues stands out more tonight. A much smaller crowd. Royals and Astros fans getting along, sort of. Eric Hosmer had a 3-hit game last night. He has 4 hits in his last 5 at-bats. Game 2 at the Houston Astros is coming up next. To schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers, visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Over 43,000 were gathered here tonight for the Astros home opener. Houston won 8-2, a much smaller gathering here tonight, as the Royals hope to even the series. Ned Yost, since the beginning of last season, has by far written the fewest different lineups in the major leagues. And in this era, HUD, of changes and adjustments and matchups day in and day out, Ned's old school in that category.
That's right. Plus, he has established world championship players, and players like to have the same slots in the lineup. Familiarity, continuity, whatever word you want to use for it. They want to be able to know where they hit when they come to the ballpark, and Ned understands that.
So really the only change would be Paul Orlando batting ninth instead of Raymond Fuentes. Mike Fiers will be making his second start of the year. These are his numbers from last year, a season that was split between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Astros. He came over from Milwaukee in the same deal that brought Carlos Gomez to the Astros.
And he has a little bit more of a conventional windup and delivery. When I would say, what I mean by that is that he comes right over the top, and he's not 3/4, so that doesn't allow a lot of sink to his ball. But he's got a pretty decent fastball. He'll average around 89 miles an hour. Not much. He might top 90, 91, but he's more of a finesse guy. He'll mix in a curve and a changeup, and then he's a newly developed slider that he's been working on in the spring.
And a look at the Astros defensively. In the outfield, Rasmus, Gomez, Springer. On the infield, Valbuena, Correa, Altuve, and White. The only change, former Royal Erik Kratz is behind the plate tonight.
Yeah, Kratz has the most familiar stroke against Medlin. He's got 6 at-bats and 2 hits, so A.J. Hinch penciled him in there in the 9-hit hole.
high fastball, and ball one to Alcides Escobar, who had a 2-hit game last night. A single to center field and a single to left, going 2 for 5. Good swing. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Hitters like guys that come straight over the top like that. The ball stays straighter, and they have an easier time picking up the release point. But we'll see how the game goes. Fiers has pitched well in his short career here with a 1-0 record of 167, so he's been pretty good. Drop that in
center field, and it drops in front of Gomez. So Escobar is on to begin the game.
It's that little cutter on the outer half of the plate. Escobar just goes with it. You can see he kind of had to reach out for that, but off the end of the bat, it deadened. Uh-oh. Gomez is doing a little bit of groundskeeping there. Oh, the rest of it's coming off.
Got some issues over there.
Well, that was that karate kick. Man, that's beautiful, man. Oh, yeah. Well, he's ready.
As a second career when he's done playing, I don't think he's going to get any calls from the Astros grounds crew or stadium maintenance.
No, that karate kick tore everything up.
Yeah. Usually does.
That's what they're designed for.
Mike Moustakas with 3 infielders on the right side. And Fiers throws him outside. Hud mentioned that Fiers gave up a base hit to Escobar on the cutter. That's the pitch that hurt him the most last year when you look at opponents' batting averages. Now, he doesn't throw it very often, but the other 3 pitches can be a handful for the hitters.
Yeah, he mixes them well.
2-0 on Moustakas. He was 0 for 5 last night and grounded into 2 double plays. Well, I'm sure that is in the back of his mind here as he bats with Escobar at first and nobody out. Get the ball in the air or take a shot at the left side of the infield, which is mostly wide open. How about a base hit into right field? That'll get Escobar to third. Moustakas holds with a long single, and right away the Royals have runners at first and third and nobody out.
Setting the table. Fiers coming out with that straight fastball, and it's getting hit. Well, not exactly with just 2 hitters, but it looks pretty straight. Like I said, it's right over the top. Anything out over the middle of the plate should get hit hard, but what kind of luck do you have? And Moose working good there as he's able to hit it by him.
And now the infield will straighten up for Lorenzo Cain. Altuve is a few steps to the middle. Lorenzo was 0 for 4 last night. Curveball got away from him. 3 of Cain's outs last night were fly balls, and at the very minimum he would like to do that right here, get a ball to the outfield.
It's time to start working on that average with runners in scoring position. The Royals are right at 200 with no homers. Just do the job, pick him up.
That's a called strike, and the count is 1-1. Well, a category where the Royals really thrived last year, hitting with runners in scoring position. Lorenzo Cain is 0 for 5 so far, and as a team, the Royals are at 178, and Cain, Escobar, Morales, and Perez are all hitless in these situations.
That'll change.
Last year, the Royals hit over 280 with runners in scoring position. That was the second best in the American League.
they were successful doing that by shortening up their swing and putting the ball in play, not trying to hit a 3-run homer. Lorenzo Cain, though, he might be looking to juice one, though, here, especially as straight as Fiers' fastball looks early.
Down and away, 2 balls and 1 strike. Got the call. Gary Cederstrom is the home plate umpire. He's the crew chief.
Brent Strom, their pitching coach, before the game talked to me about his slider and how he wasn't real comfortable with it, so he threw a lot of cutters. This year they worked on trying to get a little bit more break to that pitch, just to give him a little different look outside of the curve and the change.
Tried to get him to chase a fastball up, and now it's 3-2.
Loves to throw that high fastball. It'll be a challenge for the Royals to be able to lay off of that.
You had mentioned last night the similarities between Fiers and Chris Young, how they come right over the top. One big difference would be Chris Young is 8 inches taller than Mike Fiers.
That's right. And it's hard when you come over the top to put any sink to the ball.
Blasted to left field. Lorenzo Cain hits a 3-run home run. He picked the right part of the ballpark. 315 up the left field line. Those Crawford boxes that hang out over left field, and Lorenzo hit it into the first row. And the Royals lead 3-0 with nobody out in the first.
There's the first home run with a runner in scoring position, and I had a feeling that Lorenzo Cain was going to look to drive him in with some pop. And you know what? When I saw Kratz setting up inside, looked like the right time, and that ball was way in. It wasn't like just on the inner half. That ball was 3 inches in. He pulls his hands in, hit it off the end of the bat. He didn't get it, but good enough for this yard.
Now fastball strike to Eric Hosmer, number 2 for Cain. He joins Mike Moustakas and Kendrys Morales with 2 home runs this year. 3 guys have hit the Royals 6 home runs. Hosmer took a shot at the left side of the infield, and Valbuena throws him out, 1 away.
Lorenzo was looking on the inner half. You see the nice little flamingo leg kick, this little side view. Very nice head positions. He's hitting against right there, the good leverage against his front side. Got that little back end bend where he likes to follow through, and 3-0.
Kendrys Morales, he had an impressive home run in the 8th inning last night against Tony Sipp, hitting it well over the wall in left center field up into the signage boards. His 2nd of the year. Down in the count, 0-2.
But that was a nice opposite field swing by Morales, and he'll take a shot that way if he feels they're going to pitch him middle away.
Fiers comes back after the home run. He gets a ground ball and then a 3-pitch strikeout against Morales.
And last year, Fiers was in the top 10 in strikeouts per 9 innings. And he was the only one in that group that didn't throw 95 miles an hour. So that'll tell you he gets a lot of his strikeouts on that curve down, but mainly high fastballs. He likes to challenge guys with 2 strikes. So it's either going to be the curve or the fastball with 2 strikes to try to strike you out.
2 outs to Alex Gordon. Lays off a changeup. Alex had a 2-hit game last night, a single and a double. He was 2 for 4. One and one. 41st president of the United States, who lives here in Houston, George H.W. Bush. He threw out the first pitch, and we see him quite often when we are here in Houston, and he has his front row seat right behind home plate and between home plate and the Astros dugout. And we'll often see his son, George W. Bush, when we're at the other Texas stadium. He's often at the ballpark at Arlington.
He was telling McHugh, I'm going to throw you a slider.
College baseball player at Yale, George H.W. Bush.
Didn't he and Vin Scully play ball against each other?
They did.
Vin was from Fordham.
Changeup. Alex strikes out. The Royals get 3. Fiers comes back to get the next 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Lorenzo Cain into the Crawford boxes, driving in Escobar and Moustakas. And before the Astros come to the plate, the Royals lead 3-0. Scoring 3 runs in the first inning. Lorenzo Cain hits a 3-run shot in the first inning tonight. Jose Altuve swung at the first pitch in the bottom of the first last night. He singled and scored the first run. Evan Gattis is back from the disabled list. He will be the designated hitter and bats 7th. And Eric Kratz instead of Jason Castro is behind the plate hitting 9th as Chris Medlin makes his 2016 season debut. The Royals used him last year as both a starter and a reliever, and he was 6-2.
It's always nice to toe the slab the first inning when you have a lead on the road. He's got 3 nice pitches. Fastball going to average 91 miles an hour. Nice big curve and an excellent changeup. The league only hit 136 on that changeup last season, so he's got a good place for it, but he'll have to keep everything down against this powerful team and mix those 3 pitches in.
One and one on Altuve. Here's a breakdown of those pitches.
Yep, there you go. Most pitchers are fastball heavy because that's the main pitch that sets up the other ones. Good action on his 2-seamer. That ball runs pretty well for him. A couple 2 or 3 inches. He can start that away. The hitter thinks it's a ball and it catches the back part of the plate.
Good late movement. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's the one. Hitters see it out of the release point and they give up on it.
Full count to Altuve. He has had 200 hits the last 2 years, exactly 200 last year, 225 the year before that when he hit 341 and won a batting title.
He's an action player.
And he takes a leadoff walk. So Medlen wanted to challenge him, 3 balls, 2 strikes, and just missed with the fastball. The Royals defensively, presented by Ford. Alex Gordon in left, Lorenzo Cain in center. Paulo Orlando is in right tonight. Mike Moustakas, Alcides Escobar, Omar Infante, and Eric Hosmer around the horn, with Salvador Perez behind the plate.
Now Medlen didn't want to do that. Put him on now. He's a severe stolen base threat. He went on the first pitch that Young threw home last night. Springer in the number 2 spot knows what to do. Take a few pitches, see if he'll go. Medlen has an excellent pickoff move. I'm sure Altuve knows all about it. Quick feet, very accurate with his throws, good athlete. He can field his position well.
Altuve stole 2 bases in last night's game. He has 6. That leads all of Major League Baseball, and going into today's games, that's 3 more stolen bases than anybody else, after swiping 38 last season.
Very aggressive, loves to play. He attacks. He's a lot like Salvi. Has the same kind of joy and energy when he plays.
And coincidence or not, they are childhood buddies, Jose Altuve and Salvador Perez. Known each other for most of their lives.
So that means it's on. When you play against your friends, you ratchet up the intensity, and you want to beat him. He wants to throw him out.
Trying to tie up Springer. 2 balls and 1 strike. Springer had 2 hits and an RBI last night.
You know, he's really filled out since the couple years ago we saw him make his debut. I was up near the batting cage talking to him a little bit. I can't believe how big his shoulders are. I mean, you know, he's really strong.
Ground ball, base hit left field. Altuve stops at second, and now the Astros have 2 on with nobody out. Chatting with Richie Dower, former Royals third base coach, now the first base coach for A.J. Hinch.
And he was an excellent second baseman in his day for the Baltimore Orioles. That's fastball out over the middle. Springer just pulls it. Now with Correa coming up, he's a guy in the number 3 spot. Managers have a guy in that spot that can drive runs home, but he has a very good inside-out swing. If he sees anything on the middle away, he's going to try to take a shot to right field to move the runners and get them home. Very smart for as young as he is. Good situational hitter.
He had a 3-hit, 2 RBI game last night. Medlen pitches him inside, ball 1.
Little 2-seam runner, back him off the plate.
That one caught the inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Correa now has 74 RBIs in his first 106 games. How about that? Tied for the most by a Major League shortstop in their first 106 games, and you got to go back to 1942 for the last one. Nice stop by Salvador Perez. Otherwise, the Astros have runners at second and third and nobody out.
Yeah, that ball's not going to get by Salvi. Watch how he squares this up. I mean, you can't square it up on your chest protector any better.
And then a big smile after that.
It's like, come on, fellas. Let's go.
Late. 2-2.
Medlen comes out of there quick. He's got a quick stroke after the coming out of that delivery. He gets that ball on him. Good arm speed. In 58 1/3 innings last year, he induced just 4 ground ball double plays as a starter.
Ground ball to third. Out at second. Low throw. Infante just spiked it, and Hosmer is there for the double play.
You know, it's difficult to hit a changeup, but it's sometimes more difficult to catch one. And that's what Haas had to do there. He was expecting to get out there, and Infante got the ball in plenty of time. But just whipped the throw, and Haas did a great job of staying and keeping his foot on the bag and making that pick. That's a big double play.
And now Colby Rasmus, who hit the 2-run home run in the bottom of the first last night. And hits that well into right center, and Kane won't get there, so the Astros get a run back. Rasmus gets another first inning extra base hit, and it is 3-1. Colby Rasmus has been tough on the Royals the last 2 seasons, regular season and postseason. Dave Eiland thought with Chris Medlen making his first start tonight that he might be a little quick in the first inning.
Chris has been around a little bit. You know, he's not a rookie or anything, so he knows what he needs to do. And he's probably going to have some jitters and probably be a little quick early through his delivery, but calm down, and we look for him to throw the ball well for us.
Talked about him coming out of that delivery quick. That's what Dave's saying. It's a first inning, you know, you want to see what pitches are working, try to find your rhythm, find your mechanics, hopefully not give up any damage.
Tyler White, the rookie, had another 2 hits against the Royals last night. Who was talking about Tyler White when spring training began? Well, they're talking about him now. He was the American League Player of the Week for the first week. He's leading the league in batting average, hits, on base, plus slugging. And he's tied with 9 RBIs for the league lead. Impressive, but foul, and I can guarantee you nobody in that section brought their glove to the game tonight.
No.
That is not souvenir territory.
Yeah. And he really was out in front of that
one. I mean, you talk about never fair.
That was in the uppermost part of the stadium.
Back with a changeup that grabbed the outside part of the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Okay, now Medlen doesn't want to keep that ball up there against this team. So he got away with one. Ball's elevated, it can get hit out of the park.
Breaking ball through the right side. They're going to wave home Rasmus. Paulo Orlando's throw is a little late, and the Astros get 2 as Tyler White continues to hit and continues to drive in runs.
One of the things that they talk about with this kid is that he has the ability to use the whole field. He's a hitter, and that he recognized the curveball. Again, another pitch that was up by Medlen. If he's going to stay up in the zone, he's not going to last long against this team. He's got to be able to find a way to keep those balls down. Paulo with a nice throw, but Rasmus, he got a great jump because he knew exactly where they were playing. He had a good secondary lead. He was able to score with no problem. But the kid, he can hit. He's a good all fields hitter.
Upstairs to Carlos Gomez. 0 for 4 last night. Saw him just take a little glance over toward Mike Moustakas. He's thinking about putting down a bunt. That's below the knees, 2-0.
That's where he wants to keep that changeup. Medlen like to get in there early if you can. So far, he's only got 1 of 6 first pitch strikes over.
Evan Gattis is on deck. And a 4-pitch walk. Well, the tying run is in scoring position. And there's 2 on for Gattis, with Dave Eiland going out to the mound.
He's probably telling him, you know, you got to stay on top of that ball more. You need that shoulder to go north and south. Sometimes he's flying open, and he's leaving his arm flat, and it's leaving the ball up in the zone. And against this team, it's going to be hard to beat the pitches that are up.
.25 pitches. All of this started with a walk. And now 2 on, 2 in. Evan Gattis at the plate. Thought about it, and the pitch is low. Gattis had hernia surgery during the offseason and wasn't quite ready to go for opening day. So he began the regular season in the minor leagues, and this is his first game back. One and one.
It's a good pitch there. Keep it away and down. Gattis is country strong. He's looking for any mistake that's up and out over. Didn't quite recognize him without his beard.
Yeah, that looks like a guy imitating Evan Gattis. You're like a fan contest. Who can do the best Evan Gattis impersonation? Because that beard was of size.
It was.
He looks all right without the beard.
Yeah. I just can't get over it, you know, his stance. He looks tight. When he holds the bat, he looks like the sawdust is coming out of the bat. You know, I watched him during batting practice today, and he just looked a little stiff, but you know, he gets away with it. Of course, he's a great bad ball hitter. He hits the mistakes, but if you execute on him like that, makes him look bad.
And Medlen strikes him out. The Astros get 2 back, so it's game on at the end of 1 inning. The Royals get 3, the Astros get 2. Baseball is brought to you by Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. And by Jack in the Box. Taste the Jumbolicious Jumbo Meal before it's gone. Only at Jack in the Box. So if Dave Eiland was accurate, Chris Medlin was fighting through some jitters and maybe rushing his delivery at times. He hadn't pitched in 15 days, at least in a game. We have to go back to March the 28th. The Royals got 3 in the top of the first against Mike Fiers. He got knocked around in his last start. 1 ball and 1 strike to Salvador Perez. The Royals got all 3 runs on a home run from Lorenzo Cain.
Yeah, so you know that's expected. That's like a hitter that hasn't seen live pitching in 15 days. He's not going to have much timing either in a timing sport. Don't want to make excuses for him, but that's what we saw. And then the way he pitched Gattis, maybe he found his zone. He was down with everything.
Salvi didn't quite get his arms extended. Rasmus will make the play in left field. Fiers gave up a single to Escobar, a single to Moustakas before the Cain home run, and then retired the next 3. Here's Omar Infante. He was 1 for 4 last night. And Fiers misses a little bit upstairs. It is a hitter-friendly strike zone, it would appear, tonight.
Looks like it to me.
Looked like the same pitch.
Yeah, and I don't remember Cedarstrom having a Tim McClellan delayed call either.
Well, you got to have at least 1 umpire in the league like that.
There you go.
So the baton has been passed on. Breaking ball is outside, 2-1.
He's wearing that mask that has the shock absorbers on the side, so whenever he gets a foul tip, it kind of absorbs the blow. You see those little things, the little deals right there. Those are little shock absorbers.
That is to the gap.
Yeah.
Omar Infante is at second base with 1 out. Well, he continues to swing the bat well in the first couple weeks. Think this is going to be a 3-2 game tonight?
Absolutely not. Fiers his fastball straight as a string. Right over the top. Good short compact stroke. Hit the gap and he knew it. That's going to be 2 bases, maybe more. Nobody out, did the right thing. Excuse me, 1 out.
Now Paulo Orlando. Paulo came into the game in the 7th inning last night for Lorenzo Cain. He did not have a plate appearance. Ray Fuentes was in right field last night, and Fuentes had 2 more hits and a walk. And Dios said when Fuentes and Orlando made the team that he was not going to go with a strict platoon. He would either go with the hot hand or he would go with matchups. And tonight, more along the lines of matchups, because Fuentes had 2 hits, and you figured Fuentes would be the lefty against the righty, but Ned likes this matchup. Check swing, and it's 1-1.
And a term that's used is a gut feeling. And you know, managers sometimes will go with that feel, depending on the situation. But he's very fortunate he has a couple of talented young players.
Walk by Kratz. On the topic of right field, Gerard Dyson on the disabled list with an oblique strain.
No breeze.
Playing with AAA Omaha. And in 3 games, in his rehab assignment. He's done well. 3 for 9. He's driven in a run. He's walked a couple of times. Scored twice. Stolen a base. Chopped to short. And Orlando is out number 2. Fires on Thursday at Yankee Stadium gave up 5 runs in 5 innings and 2 home runs, and then gave up 3 runs in the first inning tonight. So of the complete innings he has pitched this year, this not being one of them, there's the line from Yankee Stadium. He allowed runs in 4 of his 5 innings. So he has pitched 6 complete innings so far this year and given up runs in 5 of the 6.
Fastball straight. It's not overpowering, so when he misses with it, it gets hit. Pretty simple. The curveball's good. It's got a good depth to it. It's a nice little 12-6 breaker.
Escobar got a pitch up. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And that's how Fiers and Chris Young are a lot alike right there. They're going to throw that belt high fastball right at 88, 89 miles an hour. And it's borderline. He gets a lot of guys to fly out on it. But when he's down a couple more inches, it's hittable. Put it in play.
Got the call.
Perfect spot on that one. This is the situation right here where you'd like to see Escobar do what he did, like he did in his last at bat. Took a cutter and just kind of dumped it into right field. He wants to just try to find a hole out there. Shorten up your swing. Get a big hit with a runner in scoring position.
Having a tough time getting everyone on the same page. Chased a high fastball. Ski knows it.
Also, with that curveball he has, he can start that fastball or that curveball on the same plane as that high fastball, and when a hitter sees it, he's going to think it could be a fastball, but then he's got to pick up that rotation and he drops it off the plate. So that's why the fastball curveball combination work for him.
Two and two. Curveball squirted out of his hand. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Moustakas is on deck.
Good outfield arms. They're good range. All 3 Astros outfielders are center fielders.
Fouled away. into center field. Gomez is there. So Escobar couldn't hit it any harder. Infante is stranded at second base. Came out swinging tonight. Lorenzo Cain hit a 3-run home run in the top of the first, and then the Astros came back and got RBIs from Colby Rasmus and Tyler White to get 2.
Yeah, but sure was nice to see that 3 runs in the first inning by the Royals. They usually wait till later in the game to score their runs, but they'll take them whenever they can get them. Medlen struggled a little bit early in that first inning, but the ball was up in the zone. Gave up 2 runs of his own.
Luis Valbuena leads off. Good pitch by Medlen over the inside.
There's a first pitch strike.
Valbuena was 1 for 4 last night with an RBI, but hit the ball hard all night. Had a couple of hard hit outs.
He's a nice player. He's got extreme pop from that left side. Good third baseman too. Much improved. See, it's a lot different throwing to a guy 0-2. You can do that. You can kind of see if he'll swing out of the strike zone. If you ask a lot of pitchers what their best pitch is, they'll tell you strike 1. Getting ahead of those hitters.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Medlen walked 2 in the first inning, including Altuve to begin the inning. Altuve scored 1 of the 2 runs. Good fastball. Valbuena strikes out, and that's Medlen's second. 1 down. Let's welcome in Joel Goldberg.
All right, Ryan, down by the Royals dugout, which last year Erik Kratz was part of the Royals team, at least for part of it. He got his World Championship ring yesterday. And then something interesting happened, and we went looking for the video, but it's magically disappeared as if it never happened. But both teams saw it, and the fans here saw it. Opening day introductions, they had the red carpet or orange carpet rolled out, and Erik Kratz takes a step out of the dugout and trips and falls face first. Got a lot of laughs, got some hat tips from the Royals. I talked to numerous Royals players, his former teammates, guys like Lorenzo Cain and Eric Hosmer. Every one of them, with complete certainty, said They are sure that Erik Kratz did that intentionally just to get a laugh, maybe to make some money, kind of like HUD did eating bugs once, who knows? And I think Alcides Escobar summed it up best. I said, did you see that? He said, he cut me off, on purpose. I said 100%. He said 200%. But they said that they loved Erik Kratz for that. He always kept everybody loose in the clubhouse, and they enjoyed that yesterday.
That's awesome.
Take some guts. I mean, your first impression in front of the home crowd, and you intentionally take a dive on the carpet right in front of the dugout.
Well, I did see the video, and it looked like it was real. I mean, he did a good job of acting it if he did.
He's taken better mug shots in his life.
He wasn't very happy that day. Come on, picture day.
It was right before he was told he was getting traded. Huh? He was a lot of fun. Well, Medlen has now struck out 3 in a row, going back to the final out of the first inning.
Okay, like I said, I think he found something on Gaddis. He was starting to execute down in the zone, and he got the jitters off.
And now Jose Altuve. Altuve has already scored 4 runs in this series, and we're in the second inning of game 2. And he takes a little peek down at Mike Moustakas, who was playing him in, not all the way in. Altuve walked, leading off the bottom of the first. He scored on the Rasmus double, and then Rasmus scored on White's single. One on Altuve. Salvador Perez, after the pitch is thrown, Salvi will go to his knees, and he's almost as tall as Altuve is standing up.
I noticed.
See that?
Yep. Well, it was interesting watching Chris Young throw to Altuve last night.
It was.
And it's just, wow. Plus he's on that mound.
2-2. That would be an interesting thing to look up. Is that the tallest pitcher throwing to the shortest hitter? I mean, because how many guys are 6'10"? I mean, you got Chris Young, Randy Johnson, John Roush was 6'11". But did anybody throw to anyone who was 5'5" or 5'6"?
How about Medlen?
3 up, 3 down, all strikeouts, and now he's struck out 4 in a row.
Yeah, he's found it. Good two-seamer.
3-2 Royals, top of the third. Mike Moustakas will lead off against Mike Fiers. Moustakas singled and scored on Cain's home run in the first inning, 3-run home run. You don't think about Mike Moustakas as a table setter. You think about a guy who hits for power and drives in runs. But we looked at players last year. On base percentage is important, but if you want to dig deeper, who has the best on base percentage leading off an inning when you really need to get on base? And those were the top 3 Royals. So Christian Colon, his on base percentage is 57 points better when he's leading off an inning compared to overall. Paulo Orlando 64%, and third best was Mike Moustakas, 348 on base percentage overall, but 366 leading off an inning. Why is that important? Well, for obvious reasons, getting on, but you know, there are some hitters who will come to the plate we expect to drive in runs, and they take a walk with runners at second and third, and that adds to his on base percentage, but that's not what he's paid to do. Well, right now Mike Moustakas' job is to get on base, and he did that well last year leading off an inning.
And a lot of that was due to the adjustments he made in going to left field. Found out what kind of hitter he can be by utilizing the whole field. And we tried to beg him to do that the previous 2 years when he was hitting 210 and stuff. You know, we were like, you know, he's got to be able to find a way to use that left field, and then he worked on it. That might get over his head.
Springer is back and runs it down. He almost dropped it. Well, you said it last inning. All 3 outfielders for the Astros are natural center fielders, so they all have very good range, and not many right fielders in the American League make that play.
I thought it was good off the bat. I thought for sure he was going to find it, but a great route. Look at that, straight to the ball. He took the perfect turn to his right and didn't wave off of it. Didn't have a little curl around or anything. He just stayed straight. Perfect path. Gets the job done.
Springer again. 2 up and 2 down. Remember, this season at Kauffman Stadium, the weekend starts early because every Thursday home game is Buck Night. Thursdays this year. So come enjoy Royals baseball while saving some cash. Enjoy delicious hot dogs and peanuts for just $1 each. Tickets now for Thursday Buck Nights at 1-800-6-ROYALS or Royals.com. And don't forget that many of the weekday games this year start at 6:15. So the Royals' next home series, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday against Detroit, those games all start at 6:15, not 7:15. So if your parents and you've already eliminated those 3 nights because they're school nights, well, that's what the Royals are trying to do to accommodate you. Get the kids to the ballpark earlier, get them home earlier so that they can go to the ballpark on a school night.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact the Tigers are in and the Orioles, 2 really good teams. Royals players love your support out there, so go on, get them tickets.
Out to Valbuena, and for the second time Hosmer grounds out to the Astros third baseman. Fiers has retired 10 of the last 11.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you.
Well, that's the voice of my childhood. That was my Denny Matthews. Dodger Stadium earlier today, Vin Scully, his last home opener, is beginning his 67th year broadcasting for the Dodgers, going back to 1950. Think about this. He broadcast for the Brooklyn Dodgers for 8 years before they moved to Los Angeles in 1958. As Panera takes us around the league, and for those of you who have not heard him broadcast, that's how he begins every broadcast and has begun every broadcast. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you wherever you may be.
And whenever we start our broadcast, when we get on to do our open, Ryan says that to the guys in the production truck every day. I love it. I mean, they should change the name of the stadium from Dodger Stadium to Scully Stadium.
Well, if I'll have to make sure that my kids listen to at least one Dodger game, because how many times could you say that not only did kids listen to a game, but their father heard his game, their grandfather heard his games, and their great-grandfather heard his games.
Yeah, that's an amazing run.
That's how long he's been broadcasting Dodger games.
Yeah, I'll never forget first game in Dodger Stadium as a player. The only thing I wanted to know when I called home was, what did Ben say about it? Did he say my name?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I was just in honor. I was in awe.
I still read stories like that, you know, players who grew up in Southern California and will say the same thing. What was it like playing at Dodger Stadium? Well, I just wanted to get home and hear what story Vin Scully told about me.
It's awesome. It's a real thrill.
2-2 on George Springer. And a base hit into left field. So Medlin had retired 4 in a row, 4 straight strikeouts, which was a career high for him. And now Springer's on to begin the 3rd inning. When Mike Moustakas was a minor leaguer, one year the Royals brought a lot of prospects in during the offseason to Kauffman Stadium, and they met with different people just preparing them for the big leagues. And I went in to talk about the media and broadcasters, and I said to the group of young guys, Eric Hosmer was in there. You know, you probably never heard of this guy, but I grew up listening to Vin Scully and on and on. Well, when the conversation was over, Mike Moustakas said, I know who you're talking about. And he showed me a picture on his phone wearing a Vin Scully t-shirt.
Wow.
And unfortunately for Moose, the Royals will probably go to Dodger Stadium next year. We haven't been there since 2003, but we go back to the West next year. It's our turn to go to Dodger Stadium, and he will miss having Vin talk about him by 1 year. Carlos Correa grounded into a double play first time up. Good breaking ball away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Double play was started by Moustakas. 5-4-3.
You see how Salvi put his glove behind Correa. That was the signal Moose to go towards the line. We're going to pitch him in. And Moose took the cue and took 2 steps to the line. Salvi's so good because, you know, the corners can't see the signs. Middle infielders can see him, but the corners don't see him, and Salvi helps him.
Got him. Now, did Salvi help out there too? Salvi made a little hand gesture right before Medlin went over to first.
Could have. I saw it wasn't a sign.
Did he want him to go through the signs again and just lucked out, or was Salvi telling him to go to first?
I don't know, but we talk about how quick. Yeah, you see that little wiggle there with his hands, but you know, it's the accuracy, the quickness of the turn, but then the ball you give to Hosmer, and that's the advantage of a left-handed first baseman. That glove is right there on that backside. Haas applies the tag before he gets in. Good call.
That is the 12th pickoff in Medlin's career. Escobar going to have to hurry in the dirt, safe.
Yep, you could tell that one topper Medlin wanted to catch it. Escobar coming in, got rid of it quickly. Good call. Beat it.
Colby Rasmus hit a 2-run home run in the first inning last night. He drove in a run with a double in the first inning tonight. Rasmus had a great postseason for the Astros. They won the wild card game with the Yankees and then of course lost to the Royals in the division series. But he had an extra base hit. If you go back to the end of his Cardinal career, an extra base hit in each of his first 6 postseason games. That's a record.
Yeah, and you know, some teams you hit well against, and it's hard to explain, but it gives you a little extra confidence when you come to the ballpark. Rasmus last year hit .345 with a double, 4 home runs and 9 RBIs in 9 games against the Royals. He loves that Royals pitching. Correa stole 14 bases last year. He will run. But he's not getting as big a lead as Springer was getting.
Infante may have lost it in the lights. He throws to first and a chance for a double play. Correa didn't run. And Infante had the presence of mind to still throw to first.
Haas helped him out. He yelled, "Hey, go over here, over here." And you know, this happens. That ball was crushed and it's in a tough spot. You don't know whether to jump or not, but the ball had topspin on it. Excellent heads up play there for Medlin. They helped him out.
There's Omar Infante. He started a 4-3, 6-3, 5 double play to begin end the bottom of the third inning. Just the way they practice it on the backfields during spring training.
Yeah, not exactly. That's a tough play. I'm glad he didn't get hurt on it.
Morales struck out against Fiers in the first inning. Fiers got him swinging at a curve. After Fiers allowed the 3-run home run to Lorenzo Cain, he has set down 10 of the last 11 Royals.
Well, Correa, he had to freeze on the line, so Correa stops, but it's Rasmus. Watch Rasmus slow down right here. He slowed down and didn't run the ball out. If he'd have ran hard the whole way, he would have beaten that play out. But those top spin line shots like that really are tough to pick up, especially if you're using a dark bat. Ooh, man. Darker bats are harder for the infielders to pick it up, the speed sometimes. And when I was out there playing defense, I remember, you know, I couldn't see the bat head through the zone. So you got to really be able to pick that ball up off the bat and pick up the rotation. And sometimes the darker bats, it's hard to see it. I started going to a darker bat, even though my swing, no one was afraid of. Pitchers used to love seeing me in the lineup.
But you know, you might as well play the role, right?
Right, yeah. So I was like, you know, if I could generate any bat speed at all, maybe I had a chance. Rasmus.
When in Rome, right?
That's right. If it's working for them, it's going to work for me.
Tap to first, and it does stay fair. White takes care of Kendrys Morales. One down in the top of the fourth inning. Don't forget, parents, sign the kids up for Sluggers Blue Crew. Get the little ones all geared up for the baseball season. This year, we're going to feature trendy Royals blue and neon colors. Members receive a zippered performance pullover, a flat bill cap, a sports necklace, 2 tickets to a Royals game, a free stadium tour, and more, all for just $25. And you can join now at royals.com/Blue Crew. Did he go? Yes. Or maybe it was a called strike. Alex was down on a changeup in the first inning. One and one. Deep and foul into the second deck, off the second deck. The Astros got Fiers from the Brewers last year with Carlos Gomez to strengthen their pitching, and they did it well before the trade deadline. Fiers last year spent his first full season in the big leagues, so he had career highs in most categories. But just 4 games into his Astros career, he pitched a no-hitter against the Dodgers right here at Minute Maid Park.
Yeah, I remember watching that game and how special it was, and his pitch count was up there, 134. That's a big workload for him.
First no-hitter ever in this ballpark, which shouldn't come as a surprise. It is such a hitter's ballpark.
His teammates just undressed him.
He's had a tough career. He was drafted in the 22nd round, which isn't very high, because the year before he was in a very serious car accident. Broke his back, broke his hip. Base hit center field for Alex. He's on with 1 out. Dislocated his knee, so that dropped him in the draft. the next year, and then as a professional he took a line drive off of his right forearm and fractured that. It's his throwing arm. So he's had a tough go to get where he is right now.
One complete game, and it was a beauty for the record book.
And before his no-hitter last year, he was remembered as the guy that hit Mike Stanton in the face a couple of seasons ago. Remember that put an end to Mike Stanton's season. And Stanton, you and I were having dinner together in the media dining room here in Houston, and the Marlins are in New York, and there's Stanton still hitting with the little guard on his face, part of his helmet. Omar Infante wore that for a while after he was hit in the face a couple of seasons ago.
Hayward for the Cubs wears one too. He took one there in the jaw.
Salvi flied to left in the second inning. No swing.
Seeing some more flame-tempered bats than I'm used to seeing. A lot of guys use the solid colored bats, but the flame-tempered bat, you can see the grain.
It's like a nice piece of furniture.
Yeah, and hitters like to see the grain, and they want them, they like to see some like it thinner, more compact together, and others like a little thicker grain.
Yeah, explain that. I mean, guys, when they get a new box of bats, they don't just take a bat out and start using it in the game. They inspect all their bats.
They look at every one of them. They check out. They look for knots too. Some knots will be on the bat, right on the sweet spot. If you got a knot, that's the hardest part of the wood. You love that. You're like, all right.
Salvi going for it all on 3-0. Yeah, I always thought that the thicker grain bat is what you were looking for. That when you got to the big leagues, you got the thicker grain bat, and the minor league guys had the thinner ones, meaning the lines of the grains are much closer together.
That's right, and there's truth to that. Big leaguers get the better wood.
Oh man, just out in front. Salvi hit it off the back wall.
Man, on the line. Just a tick too soon.
Alex runs, and Salvi swings and misses. Double play. Alex points to the Royals dugout. He thought he was safe. Ned Yost puts his hand in the air. He'll wait to hear from Bill Duplessis. Second base umpire Jim Wolf ruled that Alex was out.
That right hand stuck, and
tough to see.
Yeah,
Altuve's left foot is in the way.
This might be a little better angle here.
Ned's going to challenge.
His hand was there before he touched him on the shoulder.
Yep.
Another thing, is this our first challenge of the year? I think it is. Notice the umpires running over to the replay. Major League Baseball doing all they can to try to speed up the game.
Oh, they just showed an angle up on the video board that clearly showed he was safe.
There's a great angle there.
Last year, by the way, the Royals were 20-12 with challenges, and the Royals' opponents were 16-24. Royals had an excellent record in using their challenges. So it would appear he's making contact right there and then the contact with the glove.
See, that's great heads-up work there, because lots of times the fielder who's catching the ball will put his foot there in front of the base, and Altuve's was, but Alex went for the far corner. And when you slide head first, or even with your feet, you can see what he's given you at the last minute. Good adjustment by Alex.
The adjustment to the rules last year, when they first had the challenge system, each manager got 2 challenges. The rule last year was you get 1 challenge and you keep it as long as Alex is safe. You keep it as long as you are correct with your challenges. So Bill Duplessis and Ned Yost were right, 2 down, and Alex is at second base. A.J. Hinch went out and had a quick word with Gary Cederstrom. Obviously not to argue or you're automatically ejected. So Fire strikes out his third, but the Royals get a runner in scoring position. And it's Omar Infante at the plate. Infante doubled against Fires in the second inning. Changeup down and away, ball 1. He is 1 for 4 this year with runners in scoring position. Omar Infante.
See that shot there? You see how far away he is from the bag there. That really is a good place to be with 2 outs. It helps you cut the corner at third when you score, when you back up like that.
Out of play.
If you're going to steal a base, it's better to be even with the bag. It's a shorter distance to run. But Alex has no intention of trying to steal third here. Already in good scoring position. Told you about the arms. They got good throwing arms in the outfield.
Good take. 2 balls and 1 strike. Fox Tracks presented by the Missouri Lottery.
Just off, right where Fires wanted it there. Just want to give Infante too much of that plate. Omar loves to pull a ball anywhere middle in. So he's keeping the ball away from him.
On the ground to first, White will take it himself. So Gordon is stranded at second base to the bottom of the 4th. The Royals lead 3-2.
Hill is back also, which was a surprise to many folks if you didn't pay attention to some of the news in the offseason, because the discussion and the plan was to get rid of the Hill, which has been a nightmare, but provided for a handful of very acrobatic and challenging catches over the years. The Astros made the decision after the season, saying they didn't think there would be enough time with the playoffs, and they had some other events going on here, to take out the Hill. Now, it seems easy enough just to bulldoze that thing and remove it, but they're also talking about putting a restaurant and a fan experience, moving that from 436 to 409 and putting a whole fan experience behind it. So they've tabled that. The hope and the sense that I have heard is that they will do that project next offseason. We shall see. I found at least one person, I'm sure there are many others, that were not thrilled to see the Hill back. That would be one Lorenzo Cain. Remember, he tried to run up that last year, and it did not go all that well for him. He said to me today, Tal's Hill 1, Low Cain 0. I hope not to have to run up it again. It's not fun. I don't like it, but I'll do it if I have to. I'll start working on the high knees. I can do this. So with a sense of humor, but we're talking about a very elite athlete in Lorenzo Cain who would rather just avoid the thing if he can.
As would every center fielder. Yeah, I was surprised to see it there as well. And when I heard that they didn't have enough time, I thought that's a one-day bulldozing job to get rid of that dirt. But as Joel said, that's a big project out there. Are they going to keep that what is that, carpet out there, that second tier? White strikes out, and that's 5 for Chris Medlin. White is 1 for 2 with an RBI tonight. Let's take a look at tonight's Toyota League leaders, and it includes Chris Medlin. If you go back to 2012 best earned run averages, look at those names: Clayton Kershaw, Matt Harvey, Zach Greinke, then Chris Medlin in front of Johnny Cueto. That's throwing at least 375 innings. And of course, the player that Chris Medlin was compared to the most as he was coming through the minor leagues and got to the big leagues was Jeff Montgomery. How about that for a compliment?
Poor guy.
I don't think so, Monty. Come on.
You see some similarities?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we're obviously both undersized right-handed pitchers who don't overpower. But you know, stuff-wise, I really like his aggressiveness. I like the way that he attacks the strike zone, and that's one thing I think you have to do.
Paulo plays it off the sidewall, and Gomez slides into second base, and then does that, and he's at second with 1 down. Where did your fastball top out at in your prime?
I was a low 90s guy, max, but I was better working at 88 to 90, 91.
More movement?
Yeah, exactly. Better location, more movement. And I think that's really a key for someone who doesn't overpower. You have to find a way to utilize the location and get a little life on it. And I think that's a real key.
There's the hair. Well, we just saw you take care of Joe Carter, Fred Lynn. That was Fred Lynn, wasn't it? The last one there?
I don't think I've ever seen that one. Sammy in the truck did a good job for me.
And the first one, what was the first one? Was that Greg Gagne?
Yes.
Who eventually would be a teammate of yours. Fred Lynn, you pitched to Fred Lynn. Who, now your first year in the big leagues was 88?
Yes.
88. Okay, there's Greg Gagne with some high heat. Joe Carter had some problems with the breaking ball, at least your breaking ball in the highlight. Look at that young guy. Look at that young Monty.
That's at that old ballpark there in Cleveland.
Mistake by the lake?
Yeah, that's what they said.
So would Fred Lynn be the one where you talk about, a guy who played a long time ago, like I pitched to Fred Lynn, or is there another impressive so-called old-timer that you caught at the end of their career?
Dave Winfield.
Dave Winfield, okay.
Yep.
Gaddis cracked his bat, Infante will go to first. Gaddis is 0 for 2, and Gomez goes to third. Now let's take a look at our sprint trivia question for tonight. Evan Gaddis was the only player in the major leagues last year to lead his team in home runs, RBIs, and triples. Who are the only 2 Royals to do that? I'm going to say, well, are we guessing right away? Or are we going to let the fans think for a while?
Well, you, as hot as you've been, let him guess for a little bit.
I'm going to say George Brett and Carlos Beltran.
Wow. Stay hot.
And as a backup, Bo Jackson.
Pretty good names right there.
Yep. Don't know if I can top that list.
Although, what was the list? Was it batting average, home runs,
triples?
Home runs, RBIs, and triples. Yeah, okay. I'll put Bo Jackson in there. How'd I do, Joe Vencius, our producer? I'm in the ballpark. Valbuena struck out on a Medlin fastball in the second inning.
Monty, after not pitching in 15 days against big league hitters in a live situation, Medlin, that was almost to be expected that first inning. He was having a hard time with his command and wasn't sure where he was hitting it, and then he came right out. Actually, it was the last out in that first inning when he struck Gaddis out that he finally found his location.
Well, great to see him in an 0-2 count, because he can get in situations when he's ahead in the count where he can use those finishing pitches. He can bounce the curveball. He can do some things out of the strike zone.
Now that was interesting, Hud. That was a different signal to Mike Moustakas. Mike Moustakas' reaction that time was not to go to the line, but was to back up.
He might have had a pickoff play on. Salvi said, "Nah, forget it. Back up."
Got it in on him. Look out. Kane makes a play.
Another run saved.
So Gomez is stranded at third base.
Nice concentration, Locane. Way to pick up Medlin. See him yelling loud.
First inning, and now has 3 scoreless innings, 3 straight scoreless innings. The Royals got 3 in the first inning, and they've been scoreless since. They've only had 2 base runners as Mike Fiers has settled in. And Paulo Orlando takes a breaking ball for a strike. We showed you a couple of innings ago in regard to the best Royals last year leading off innings. And that list includes Paulo Orlando. Grounded to Valbuena. 1 down. Great upper and lower level seats still remain when the Royals return home next week to take on the Tigers and the Orioles. The homestand includes student night, buck night, a replica World Series trophy giveaway, and more. And remember, to better accommodate families with children, all weekday home games in April and September will start an hour earlier at 6:15, so the kids can come out and enjoy the Royals at Kauffman Stadium before the summer months. Royals.com, 1-800-6-ROYALS. Next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 6:15 against the Tigers. And then after that, a 3-game weekend series with the Orioles. One and one to Escobar. He is single to center, and he is line to center.
Pretty similar stories here on tonight's game, at least, with Fiers and Chris Medlin. Both pitchers really seem to struggle to get that rhythm early in the game. You see a lot of times with starters, but rarely you see guys settle down at the same time and then start throwing zeros on the board.
That was a luxury you didn't have, Monty. An inning to get settled in.
Well, and that's the thing. You know, Chris Medlin is a guy who throws a variety of pitches. It's important. I always felt like it was important to throw all of my pitches. And the earlier that I could establish that I'm going to throw all of those pitches, the better I was going to be. And you know, as a closer coming in, normally only, you know, with the inning and a third or 2 innings at times earlier in my career, you had to establish those very early. Otherwise, they were not going to do you the benefit that they really can do if you let the hitters know that you possess all of those pitches, and you will throw them at any time, any count.
Yeah, you're right. It's tough for a hitter facing a guy like that. You're going to pick one pitch in one zone and focus on that. That way you don't go up there just flailing and bailing on anything he's throwing. It's important to have a plan. Looks like Fiers in this inning here is breaking out more curveballs. Well, you know, it seems like, you know, as the game moves on, first, second, third time through the order, they get 2 Fiers. And here we are, third time through the order now.
Moustakas takes a 2-out walk. And that's the first allowed by Fiers.
It's got to be the shoelaces.
Usually is, isn't it?
That's right. Tie it up. Reboot.
Lorenzo Cain belted his 2nd home run of the year into the first row of the Crawford boxes in left field, driving in Escobar and Moustakas. And then in the 3rd inning, he lined to right. So he's had 2 good swings against Fiers. So Cain was bringing the lumber. Brought to you by Yellowwood.
Yeah, it was on a fastball 3-4 inches inside. Really got the head out on that. Nice little lean back. Hit it off the end of the bat. Didn't really get it all, but got enough. Get over that 315 wall and left.
Bounces away from Kratz. No advance for Moustakas.
See that helmet Kratz is wearing? That's one of those 100-mile-an-hour plus proof helmets. And I saw it the other day. I was walking in. He was down the line. I said, look at that thing. Let me see it. And I took it off. It was hard. It was almost like metal. That's exactly what every catcher should be wearing. I mean, that's a well-built helmet.
When Kratz was with the Royals, he had one of those hockey-style helmets.
And the helmet for a catcher is more geared for the follow through than it is a foul ball, right? The follow through and the hitter's bat coming around and hitting him on the head.
I guarantee you that helmet, that'll break a bat if it comes around and hits it. And that thing was, I couldn't believe how hard it was. Oh, that's smart.
Way upstairs. That almost pinned Kratz up against the netting.
Yeah, you can see Kratz coming up out of his crouch. He wanted that ball up, but not like that.
Nice backhanded stop. So 3-2, and now Moustakas will get an early break. .92 pitches for Fiers, with just 2 outs in the 5th inning. So it's going to be an early night for the Astros bullpen. They're going to hold Moustakas. And Kane hits it toward right center field. It's carrying, and Springer is there to make the play. That's 3 hard hit balls to the outfield for Kane tonight against Fiers.
Bit, you know, he's not a rookie or anything, so he knows what he needs to do, and he's probably going to have some jitters and probably be a little quick early through his delivery, but calm down, and we look for him to throw the ball well for us.
Yeah, nice to see Chris Medling making that big adjustment. Big pickoff move there in the 3rd inning helped his own cause a little bit too.
No, Dave was right. That 1st inning, he was a little jittery and he was a little quick with his wind-up and delivery, and he's able to make the adjustment so far. I hope we can hold him down and keep him down.
One of the things Dave Eiland told me today is he needs to stay back above the rubber longer rather than shorter. Sometimes when you're a little out of sync and you haven't been on the mound for a while, you feel a little bit strong and you kind of jump out a little bit, and I think that's what he was doing earlier. I'm sure Dave Eiland helped him with that adjustment, staying back, staying above the rubber longer to allow his arm to get in that good downhill throwing position.
You bring up his positioning on the rubber. I asked Chris yesterday and said, you know, did you have to change anything after having a second Tommy John surgery, you know, mechanically or maybe his pitching arsenal. And he said, now here's a shot of him in Atlanta. He was barely making contact with the rubber. He was way over on the first base side. We are showing this to illustrate that and for the benefit of Chris Getz. There you go, Getzy.
Wow. Getzy took him deep.
But Medlen said that when he was drafted, he used to pitch on the third base side of the rubber, and the Braves convinced him to pitch on the first base side, and he had a lot of success doing that with Atlanta. And he had Tommy John surgery twice. So, and just trying to figure out a way. I mean, what's going on with my mechanics? Woo. That was a swing, and Kratz is down to begin the 5th inning, and that's 6 strikeouts for Medlen. So last year Medlen thought, okay, second rebuilt elbow, I'm going to go back to the way I was when I got drafted. So he was more in the middle of the rubber to the third base side. But it had been so long since he'd been over there, they didn't have the command that he normally had. So he's drifted back to the first base side, but clearly not as far as he used to be with the Braves when he was barely making contact.
Right, and if you're all the way on that first base side of the rubber, I can see where it could potentially cause problems where you maybe are throwing a little bit across your body. So probably some additional strain on that arm in order to get the ball back to the, especially when you want to go to the outside part of the plate.
And you can understand, Medlen trying to figure out why he's had Tommy John surgery twice. I mean, he doesn't have, really quirky mechanics. He takes very good care of himself. But he had 2 in a relatively short period of time. One in 2010 and one at the end of 2013. Hit sharply to Escobar. Altuve is out, and they're 2 down in the bottom of the 5th. And now George Springer, who is 2 for 2. So far the Royals have kept the Astros in the ballpark. Kobe Rasmus homered in the game last night, leading us to our Kubota power stats. The Astros have hit in 7 straight games to begin the season. That's a new franchise record for them. The Astros, the Giants, and the Rays are the only teams in the major leagues that have homered in all of their games to begin this year. Springer has singled to left twice. He's also had a good night in the field and right.
And Ryan, in talking about his positioning on the rubber, I never was aware that he was way to that first base side until we just saw that video. But oftentimes that's what a sinker ball, or a guy's going to be a 2-seamer that's going to throw that sinker ball where he really wants to get that, accentuate that life away to like a left-handed batter. That's where they'll start. A lot of righties that are more traditional or conventional pitchers like Chris Medlen, I've never seen one start that far left that we saw in that the highlights from Chris earlier.
The fans are all yelling balk, so all the runners can move up. Well, wait a minute, there aren't any runners.
Well, Medlen started his windup, and Salvi was looking at the hitter. He was looking up at him, and so he didn't throw it. His catcher wasn't looking at him, so he stopped.
Wise move.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Salvi doesn't need to take another fastball off him.
See, Salvi just motioned to Medlen. He'll swing. Let's be careful here. He's going to swing 3-0. And he takes a strike. Remember last year, Franklin Morales would pitch some batters on one side of the rubber and other batters on the other side of the rubber.
Right. The breaking ball pitches, you want to be to your arm side as much as possible to increase that angle.
Springer walks with 2 down, so he's been on base 3 times. And that's Medlen's 3rd walk, but his first since the 1st inning. And that means he faces Correa with 2 down. Correa grounded into a double play in the 1st inning. and then reached with an infield single in the third. Close. 2-0.
He's been trying to tie Correa up all night. That two-seam runner in on his hands, like that's a good spot to back him off.
One thing Chris has done a good job of tonight, for the most part, staying out of the middle of the plate. When he's missed for the most part off the plate.
It's a good spot. He wanted that one.
Well, Gary Cederstrom's been tight.
Yeah, he has.
See, all three of those pitches pretty tight.
That's right where you want to put the ball on the edges of the plate.
Good movement. The same pitch that he threw to Springer, 3-0. Back-to-back walks. And now it's Rasmus coming up and Dave Eiland coming out. And they begin to move around in the Royals bullpen. So the inning began with Medlen striking out Kratz and getting Altuve to ground to short. 2 outs and nobody on base. And now walks to Springer and Correa. Dave Eiland is going to be approached by home plate umpire Gary Cederstrom as the 30 seconds have expired. As Luke Hochevar begins to warm up and warm up quickly. One of the new rules this year to try and speed up the pace of the game. As soon as the manager or pitching coach steps on the field, he has 30 seconds to get to the mound, send his message, and begin his trip back to the dugout. So Rasmus doubled in a run and then grounded into a wacky double play. That was in the third.
This is the biggest hitter of the game right here for Medlen. Just work down in the zone. Don't elevate anything for him.
Yeah, and after the first inning, Chris Medlen has done a nice job of getting ahead of hitters here now to these last 3 batters.
Outside, 2-0. And now he's at 93 pitches. So this is likely his last hitter. If he does not get Rasmus, Hochevar comes in, and even if he gets Rasmus, this is likely his last hitter. So his pitch count will be in the mid-90s. Tyler White is on deck. Jammed him, and that's going to be out of play. Good pitch on 2-0. Got it in on him.
Yeah, did a nice job of making sure that Rasmus could not get extended. Get in a tough situation here, middle part of the lineup. Got a couple guys on base. You can't afford to give in. Good to see Chris Medlen still bearing down here.
First long inning he's had since 30 pitches back in the first inning. Ooh, good spot. How close was that pitch? Breaking ball, 3-2.
You know, early in the game, Medlen had more two-seam run on his fastball. So that previous pitch, if he had had that two-seam runner on there, that would have caught the plate. But it was straight.
He'll straighten out a little bit. I'm not surprised to see him pitch backwards here, in the 3-1 count, throwing that breaking ball. Throw a 3-1, he might throw a 3-2.
That's right. Let's hope Rasmus isn't thinking that way.
Runners go. Yeah. Breaking ball, and he did get him. That's why the Royals love Chris Medlen. 2 outs, nobody on, back-to-back walks to face one of the most dangerous hitters against the Royals the last 2 years, and Medlen strikes him out. Striking out Colby Rasmus to get out of the bottom of the 5th inning, and now the Royals come up in the 6th. Our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Larry Doty from Platte City, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Larry wins $200. Base hit center field for Eric Hosmer. The Royals have the leadoff man on, and Hosmer is 1 for 3. Of course, if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, then Larry wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Royals.
It's a good start. Haas hit a couple of balls to the third baseman the previous 2 times up. It's good. He's staying with his hands inside, using the opposite field.
Brent Strom, who is a one-time Royals pitching coach, is now the Astros pitching coach, out to have a chat with Fiers before he pitches to Morales. Let's look at the matchup between Rasmus and Medlen to end the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, this is probably going to be one of the most important at-bats of the entire ball game, because after a couple of quick outs, a couple of walks to Springer and Correa, then Chris Medlen comes back and has a real battle with Colby Rasmus. Gets back in the pitcher's count, finishes him off with the curveball. Really nice pitching.
There's a good example right there, Monty, of when a manager or pitching coach says, we like this guy because he never gives in. He never just said, well, if I'm behind in the count, here you go. He kept mixing his pitches.
Yeah, it's a great job. Plus, Rasmus still shaking his head. He wanted to swing the bat and do some damage, so great pitch selection there.
And that's one thing as a pitcher I would always keep in my mind. If there's a guy that's hitting the 3, 4, 5 slot in the lineup, he's paid to drive in runs. And I know he's going to be aggressive. You get in a 3-1 count, 3-2 count, he's looking to drive the ball, and that's when you can pitch backwards effectively and get big outs.
On the bag, fair ball. Hosmer trying to stand there as long as he can, and they're going to rule that he went out of the baseline. So the Astros get a double play. Kendrys Morales stands outside of the box. He thinks it was a foul ball.
Let's take a look at it here. Ooh, well, you know, it looked like he caught it on the foul side of first base. But not too many times is a first base umpire going to overturn that. But look where he caught it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Now this is, we get a little throwback here. Not really an argument, but a conversation between first base umpire Eric Cooper and Ned Yost, because that is not a reviewable play. Boundary calls are reviewable beyond the bag, so Ned went out there to just talk about it with Eric Cooper. But if the Royals thought it would be reviewable, which it's not, Ned would be standing on the top step trying to get word from the Royals clubhouse.
Well, you know where Ned's sitting over there, I view that line.
And the reason why that is not reviewable is because the ball only has to go over the bag fair, and there is just no laser defined camera angle to prove it one way or the other. Now once it goes by the bag, now you're dealing with strictly the white line, and that's easy to see from any angle. I'd like to see another shot of that ball to first base. I mean, it looked like he was reaching into foul territory.
Sure did.
Right from that angle, it certainly looked foul. But Eric Cooper, to his credit, he was right on top of that play.
I mean, the reason it's important is you give Morales another pitch to hit, he could hit a homer, 2-runner.
Boy, if his foot's on the outside part of the bag and he's reaching beyond his foot.
Yeah. In Morales' previous at bat, the little ground ball down the first base line, he actually caught the ball right on the chalk. So there have been 2 very close plays for him that resulted in 3 unassisted.
There is only one infielder on the left side, and Alex hit it right to him. That's the third baseman, Valbuena. So Fiers gets around the leadoff single to the bottom of the 6th. It's still a 3-2 game. Astros scored 2 in the first, and that's it. We head to the bottom of the 6th inning. Let's answer our sprint trivia question. Last year, Evan Gattis was the only player in the major leagues to lead his team in home runs, RBIs, and triples. We're the only 2 Royals to ever do so. I said George Brett and Carlos Beltran.
We go with Mike Sweeney. I love Mike.
Well, I mentioned Mike Sweeney as well, but just because of the RBIs.
I just want to say his name.
He stole home plate once too, so he's got some wheels.
He does. I saw it. Off of Andy Pettit.
Al Cowens.
Wow. That was a tough one.
You looked it up the other day, Hud. I mean, it'll surprise you because, you know, when you think of George, you don't think about triples, but how many triples did he have in his career?
137,
yeah.
maybe?
Luke Hochevar is in. Tyler White is the first to face Hochevar. This is the first time Hochevar has come on in the beginning of an inning. Chevy called to the bullpen. Here are his numbers. Previously, he has been Ned Yost's fireman coming in the middle of an inning. 1 ball and 1 strike on White.
Hoch got a straight 4-seamer. He's got an excellent cutter and a big curve.
And right on cue, there's the big curve.
It's a beauty.
That would be described as a power curveball.
I'd say so myself. One of the harder pitches to hit in the game.
Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. White, Gomez, and Gattis against Hochevar in the 6th. Chris Medlin, 5 innings, gave up 2 runs in the first inning. None after that. He pitched very well with men on base after the first inning. Worked around a couple of walks in the 5th, and he struck out 7. That's the most strikeouts he's had in the game as a Royal. And now Hochevar begins his outing with a strikeout, so that's 8 strikeouts for the Royals against the Astros in 5 1/3 innings. And we remind you that the Astros led the American League in hitter strikeouts last year.
Great spot by Hochevar.
Carlos Gomez with 1 out. Got a feel for that curveball tonight.
Sure does.
There's Medlin. He'll watch the rest of the game, if not most of the rest of the game, from the Royals clubhouse. Gomez walked in the first inning and then doubled in the 4th.
Monty, did you ever dabble with a curveball like that? Try to throw one with that kind of break to it?
That's how I tried to throw them all, Hud. That was just, I mean, especially a big right-handed guy that's going to chase. You want to try to, you want it to finish off the plate. And I think Hoch has got that 12-6er. That's the ideal curveball right off the top.
Never could throw one of them.
Popped up to Infante. Come on, Hud. Keep your head in the game.
Right,
let's go.
Let's see it.
We have to show this 3 times
okay,
tonight?
Let's see it. All right, there it is, Monty. I thought that was more of a slider. I thought you threw more of a slider, but that was a hammer right there.
I threw both of them. I had to, Hud.
Yeah, way to go.
Many tricks you can put up your sleeves, the better.
Nice break.
Evan Gattis, in his first game back from the disabled list, has struck out and grounded to second. Ooh, got the call. Hud was 0 for 2 against Monty, and one of them was a ground ball into a double play. Maybe you had him reaching for that
Doubled me
curveball,
up
big
on it.
curveball.
I'm through with you, Monty.
I wish I could remember that one.
I don't remember it either. Sorry. One of the many.
Come on, don't you remember throwing a big curveball to a guy and he grounded to a double play and then he curtsied after he touched first base and said, "Come on, man, challenge me with a fastball.
I never do that.
Give me your best stuff."
Never do that to Monty.
No, unfortunately, like I say a lot, I remember the bad outcomes more than the good outcomes.
One and 2 on Gattis. Good spot.
Gotta like the way Luke Hochevar's throwing the baseball this year.
Struck him out.
Cutter, beautiful.
2 strikeouts for Hochevar and a 1-2-3 bottom of the 6th. All the scoring was done in the first inning, and it's still 3-2 KC. Royals with 3 in the top of the first. The Astros with 2 in the bottom of the first. Take a look at our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. Most home runs allowed by major league bullpens, and it's not even close. 7 of those were away from Minute Maid Park. Kendrys Morales homered in the Astros' first home game here last night, and we bring that up because the Royals are into the Astros bullpen. This is Will Harris, appearing for the 4th time this year, and comes on to pitch to Salvador Perez, Omar Infante, and Paulo Orlando in the 7th inning.
Fastball go 88 to 93. Overhand curve.
Kochevar was very impressive in the bottom of the 6th. So his night is over. Had a play off the bat of Salvador Perez. Kelvin Herrera warms up in the Royals bullpen, getting ready for the bottom of the 7th. Salvi has flied to left and struck out those at bats against Mike Fiers, who gave up 3 in the 1st and then was scoreless over his next 5. Grounded to Correa. On the money, 1 down. The Royals want you to follow the team on the road this year. How about a trip to Philadelphia, Boston, or New York City? Royals destinations fan packages are available now and include great game tickets, hotel accommodations, VIP ballpark tours, and a meet and greet reception with a Royals player. Strike 1 to Omar Infante. Just visit royals.com/destinations. Or you can call 877-698-8695. Infante has doubled and grounded to first. Now he grounds to short. A little more difficult play for Correa in the dirt, and White with a backhand pick.
Tell you what, last night's game and tonight, White's looked good over there. Showing some agility, turn around, turn a double play last night, and here, a little short hop pick by the rookie. Correa off balance, made a nice play, but it's a little bit short. And a nice pick. Good dig.
Two down to Paulo Orlando. He has grounded out twice, both times to the left side of the infield. And Harris hits the outside for strike 1. One and one on Paulo. The Astros last year, as you know, they hit for power. They have speed. Their starting pitching was good. But the area where they improved the most was their bullpen. Altuve backhands and collides with Correa. And both appear to be all right. How many hearts stopped for a moment in the Astros dugout after that collision?
Oh man, and all the position players took off running that way, thinking that it was worse done. But Paulo off the end of the bat, Mountain slowed it down a tad, and they got twisted up with their feet. Typically the shortstop comes in. I think usually he'll cut off in front of the second baseman. He's got a better angle, and his momentum's going a little bit better towards first.
So a man on for Escobar. He opened the game with a single, and he, along with Mike Moustakas, scored on Lorenzo Cain's 3-run home run. The Royals have not scored since. The Astros have not scored since the first inning. Paulo started to go, didn't like his jump, so he stopped.
That's a good time to go. 2 outs, got Escobar hitting. Kratz has done pretty well in his career, throwing out 27% of runners.
Springer is there at the line. He makes the play. So Harris comes on and pitches a scoreless top of the 7th. Stretch time at Minute Maid Park, where the Royals lead by 1. Jokingly said to Hud after the first inning, you think this is going to be a 3-2 game? And you said no way, and I was right there with you.
Yeah, this baseball is hard to call. Both pitchers were a little bit shaky in that first inning. Kane capitalizes with 2 men on. Rode one out of there for his 2nd home run of the year. Medlen settled down after that first inning. Started hitting his spots, getting some strikeouts. Doing a nice job in his first outing of the year for the Royals. Biggest strikeout of the night, his last hitter on Rasmus with 2 guys on. That's a one heck of a job by Medlen, especially after that first inning. Settled in. Now it's on to Herrera. It's up to the pin to win.
Luke Hochevar in relief of Chris Medlen. Faced 3, retired 3, and struck out 2. Herrera will get the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. Valbuena will lead off. Eric Kratz is scheduled to hit next, but the Astros are going to pinch hit for him, and then Jose Altuve. Valbuena against Medlen struck out and flied to center field. Good breaking ball for a strike. Well, he not only is that a good pitch for him now, Monty, he likes to throw it.
He's got great confidence in it. It's really good to see. He's very well rounded now as a pitcher. Got the great changeup and fastball, but that off-speed pitch to go along with it. Nice compliment.
Back with his 90-mile-an-hour changeup. Two and two. The Astros have just 1 hit since the 3rd inning. Changeup struck him out. He is truly a 3-pitch pitcher now.
Without a doubt, that's really helped him a lot. It keeps the hitters off of the fastball and the changeup, and what happens is the hitter will guess fastball, 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 and then sometimes he'll go up there saying, I'm going to look for the changeup. So now that he mixed in that slider, that really equalizes it out.
Preston Tucker is going to hit for Kratz. Tucker was the Astros designated hitter last night. He was 0 for 2 with 2 walks and a run scored. He had 2 home runs last year as a pinch hitter. Both of those pinch hit home runs came in the same series. And that's an Astros record. Strike over the outside at 97, 1-1.
One thing I've noticed about Kelvin Herrera's fastball, he's got a lot of life. It's almost like he's turning the ball over a little bit. He's still getting good velocity at 97, 98, but he's got life too.
So what that slider has done, it's given him a pitch at 81, 82 miles an hour to go with his 90-mile-an-hour changeup and his 97-mile-an-hour heater. So he has 3 big, huge variations in speed between the 3 pitches. And that, Ryan, like you said, has really changed it as far as what the hitters are looking at, too. Ooh.
And when you're thinking about that breaking ball in that changeup, 97 is like 107. I mean, Tucker had no chance on this fastball.
Just tremendous separation in the velocity with those 3 pitches. And you say you don't have to do a lot of setting up when you have that, because the hitter in the back of his mind, he's got to be thinking about 3 different pitches, and that's tough to do.
Yeah, you have to gauge off of that heater and then adjust to the other pitches. Got to look for the fastball.
Change up and a full count. Right by him at 97. Two down.
It's almost unfair.
Yeah, pitchers, you know, I mean, managers love guys that can get instant strikeouts. Beautiful pitch.
Sunday NASCAR Sprint Cup racing heads to Bristol starting at 11:30 a.m. only on Fox, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Royals pitchers have struck out 5 of the last 6 Astros hitters, going back to Medlin's last hitter in the 5th. That stays high to Altuve.
We'll take a look here at Kelvin Herrera's delivery. Just look at the torque he generates.
Got a little Ventura in.
I was going to say a little Giordano in there. What do you call that cut? A pirouette.
That's right. But you know, hitters and pitchers, very similar. They both have to load. They have to load their hips to deliver the pitch, and the hitters have to load their hips to deliver any kind of power. Very, very similar, both of them. Shoulders, their lead shoulder is very key for both of them. If you're pulling off of it, you don't generate the power, and pitching, you miss up in the zone. And really, when you got a guy like Herrera that throws that hard, I always used to tell myself, just shorten up with your swing a little bit. Just be comfortable, put a little swing on it, and that power that he provides with 97 will make the ball jump. You don't need the big swing. Big swing's overrated against the guy that throws that hard.
You saw Jose Altuve there, took the big swing on a 2-0 count.
Yeah. Had no chance to hit it.
But it's 3-1.
This is the guy you don't want to put on. Make him earn his way. No free rides now.
Full count.
Yeah, I don't think Altuve got the memo on short left swing.
No, I mean, look at that guy. He's swinging out of his shoes.
He hit 15 home runs last year.
Got some pop. Come right back and challenge him just like he did Tucker.
Breaking ball.
Slider
to
work.
center. Cain's got it. Herrera has a 3-up, 3-down, bottom of the 7th. Mike Moustakas will lead off the top of the 8th. No one has scored since the first inning. The Royals lead 3-2.
In as the Royals holding on to a 3-2 lead. Our Mazda game break takes us to Detroit. First inning, Juan Nicasio, Justin Upton, first homer as a Tiger. I think he got all that one. Yeah, he got all that one. 451 feet worth of home run. It was a 4-hit day for Justin Upton as the Tigers win big over the Pirates, 8-2 in that one. So we see the early standings.
Second most popular Upton in Detroit. Anyway, go ahead.
It's all I got. I can't top that, Ryan.
He's quick, Joel.
I think in Detroit these days, when you talk about Justin Upton, are you talking about the Tigers outfielder, or are you talking about the Tigers pitcher and his girlfriend, right?
There you go.
Good talk, Joel. Good talk. Jason Castro is now catching. Mike Moustakas with a smash to Altuve. And Mike Moustakas is 1 for 4. He could be 3 for 4. He's hit 2 balls right on the nose for outs. 1 down in the 8th inning.
Gets up underneath. That's all he needs. Put that over the fence. Good swing. That's all you can do.
And now Lorenzo Cain, he drove in all 3 runs for the Royals in the first inning. 3 batters into the game, the Royals had a 3-0 lead. There have been a lot of hard hit balls for outs. The Royals have hit into a lot of bad luck tonight. They have hardly been mowed down since the first inning, but they haven't scored. The Astros got their runs in the first inning and haven't scored since. So now bullpen against bullpen. That's upstairs, 1-1. In addition to the home run, Lorenzo Cain has line to right and flied out to deep right. Another example of some tough hitting luck and good Astros outfield defense. 0-2. Remember to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the KC metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. Second inning for Will Harris out of the Astros bullpen. Down on strikes. A hard cutter. And there are 2 down.
Excellent job pitching to Lorenzo Cain, keeping that ball down and on the outer half of the plate and out of the middle.
So 2 down to Eric Hosmer. We mentioned it last half inning that maybe the biggest key to the Astros turnaround was the improvement of their bullpen a year ago. All that they do well, they hit home runs, they steal bases, they have good starting pitching, but today if you have no bullpen you have no chance. So just 3 years ago they were last in the American League. Well, actually just 2 years ago they were still last in the American League in bullpen ERA, but then that really improved last season when they got to 4th in the American League. Slash foul, and it's 0-2 on Hosmer.
Well, they all started buying in to the Astros way of shifting. I know the previous 2 years when they weren't so good, there was some complaints by some pitchers in the bullpen, and you know they were shifting all the time. It messed them up, and you know they all finally bought in on the same page. And when you're all pulling on the same end of the rope, that's when you win. Got a few new pitchers that helped. A few new guys out there in the bullpen.
Breaking ball. Hosmer strikes out. So Will Harris has 2 scoreless innings out of the Astros bullpen. We head to the 8th. Still 3-2 Royals. Of hardware on Saturday, April 23rd, as we celebrate the 2015 run to the title with a World Series champs replica trophy giveaway presented by Pepsi. The first 20,000 fans through the gates will own a piece of the glory with this special one-of-a-kind item. Gates are scheduled to open at 4:30, and you can get your tickets at Royals.com or 1-800-6-ROYALS. And that's a game with the Baltimore Orioles. They won again. They are now 7-0, the only unbeaten team in baseball.
That's after starting the spring 0-8. It'll tell you that spring training what that means.
All right, big inning for Joakim Soria. He's going to get Springer, Correa, and Rasmus. Soria is making his 4th appearance. He has given up 4 earned runs in 2 2/3 innings. He's also struck out 6 in those 2 2/3.
Well, first game where it's been a real close game. Looks like Ned's going with Soria in the setup role. Four-pitch pitcher. They go 90 to 93.
Good pitch. 1-2 on Springer.
He's good when he's on the corners. It's like any other pitcher when you're out over the middle, but with the middle of their order coming up now, this will be a big test for Soria.
Just upstairs. Soria pitched on Friday against Minnesota in a tie game, a 2-2 tie, and gave up that home run to Park. Byung-Ho Park's first major league home run. I put Minnesota up by 1, and then the Royals came back with 2 in the bottom of the 8th. Still 2-2 on Springer. So Soria's had 2 outings where he has struggled. Opening night against the Mets, and then he bounced back on Tuesday in game 2 with New York, and then allowed the home run on Friday against Minnesota. So he's still settling in. Up into the rafters, and Paulo Orlando is there for the out. First time Springer has been retired. The Royals last year, when they had a lead after 7 innings, which they have right now, were 73-3.
It's the value of that great bullpen the Royals have.
And now Carlos Correa, 1 for 2 with a walk. And a fastball makes it 0-2. Correa is facing Soria for the first time.
Boy, just great spot. Salvi moved in on Correa, and Soria hit it right where Salvi wanted it. Wants it on the ground. Nice.
Curveball down and away.
Beauty.
2 down. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery, with producer Joe Vencius, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, Dave Holtzman, and the producer of Royals Live is Brian Shapiro, as Soria gets ahead of Colby Rasmus 0-1.
Just with his paintbrush on the outer half of the dish.
Up the middle, and a base hit into center. The way Rasmus has been going against the Royals, it could have been a lot worse.
That's right. So 11 pitches. It's the first mistake. It's right down the middle over the plate, and that'll just tell you what hitters are looking for. Anything out over that plate, it's going to get hit. So Soria so far been hitting his spots until Rasmus, and it's a good thing that he kept it in the park.
And that'll bring up the new fan favorite, Tyler White. 1 for 3 to drop his batting average down to .520.
He's in a slump.
Just below the knees. So White looks at Soria for the first time. He drove him in the Astros' second run in the first. And then he struck out against Medlin in the 4th. and struck out against Hochevar in the 6th. 2-0. Carlos Gomez is on deck.
Rasmus not much of a stolen base threat. He just stole 2 last year.
Wow. All right. So that puts a tying run in scoring position with 2 down. The Astros with a single and a walk. Carlos Gomez, when he's done talking to his bat, will dig in for the 4th time against Joakim Soria in his career. Make it the 5th time in his career. He has either struck out or been hit by a pitch every time he has batted against Soria. Quick pitch. He caught Gomez off guard there.
He sure did. Gets a smile out of Gomez. Nice pitch by Soria. He stuck it right by him.
Going to try and pitch him inside. Jammed him. Slow roller to Infante. Out at first. Soria gets the job done, and we head to the 9th inning. The Royals will have Morales, Gordon, and Perez trying to add to their 3-2 lead.
Good.
Kansas City area Chevy dealers. Visit for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be with 24 KC Metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price every day. The Royals led 3-2 at the end of 1. They lead 3-2 at the end of 8. And they're going to face Astros closer Luke Gregerson. Gregerson is on for the 3rd time this year. He is yet to be charged with a run. It'll be Morales, Gordon, and Perez.
Gregerson's a sinker baller. As a closer, 87 to 92. He's got an excellent slider to go with it. Everything on the ground off of the bats of most opponents.
Wade Davis is getting ready for the bottom of the ninth. He'll get the lower third of the Astros order. The Astros, even with the numbers we showed you last inning, as much as they improved their overall bullpen, many thought that they needed to go out and continue to improve their bullpen. Gregerson was 31 out of 36 last year in save opportunities. Alex tried to take advantage of a wide open left side of the infield. But Gregerson, as you pointed out, I mean, he's not your typical overpowering type of closer. So they made a trade, the Astros did with the Phillies, and they brought in hard-throwing Ken Giles, who throws 100 miles an hour. Giles had 15 saves last year. Many thought that he was going to be the closer, but A.J. Hinch has stuck with Gregerson.
You know, there's something to be said for loyalty, but you know, Gregerson has shown that he can do the job, and he's sticking with him until he shows A.J. Hinch that he's not able to do it.
Giles, by the way, has pitched 2 2/3 innings and has given up 2 home runs and 3 runs so far, while Gregerson has gone 2 1/3 scoreless. Outside to Alex, 1-2. Rays off the breaking ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I've heard some hitters say that Gregerson is tough to pick up. He's got a little deception in his delivery. Tough to pick up the spin on his breaking ball.
From 0-2 to 3-2. Just fouled it away. Boy, tough to lay out that pitch. I think that's right where Gregerson wanted it. So Alex comes back from 0-2 and walks with 1 out.
Yeah, great take. Gregerson fully expected Gordon to swing over the top of that.
MLB.TV Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service. You can watch every out-of-market game live in HD at home, in the office, or on the go. You'll get real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. MLB.TV for more details. Inside to Salvador Perez, hitless in 3 at-bats tonight. Inside for a strike.
Looked like he was off the grid on Foxtrot.
Let's Go Royals chant has broken out, which is inspired Astros fans to counter with a Let's Go Astros chant. Salvi chased the slider way out of the strike zone. Gregerson was going to make sure that slider was as down and away as it could be. 2 years ago, Gregerson was with the A's, and he pitched in that wild card game when Salvi won it in the 12th. Gregerson came on in the 8th, walked a batter, gave up a hit. When the Royals scored 3, all the runs were charged to John Lester, but he played a role in the Royals' comeback. Slider again. Alex to second, and he's in there. Alex had a stolen base back in the 4th inning, and now he moves up in a wild pitch.
It's a good read on his part. He was ready to advance on anything in the dirt. Of course, Rusty Kuntz reminds him of that and says, hey, look, now this guy has a slider, and if it's in the dirt, get a good jump and go, and he did. Good insurance run there.
Let's see if Salvi can take one to right field here. Drive in Alex. Pitched him tight, 3-2.
Yep, they set up the slider away here.
Little pop up. Correa will handle that. 2 down.
See how he came in hard, busted him in, and set up that little slider away, because he knows Salvi has a tendency at times to go after those sliders away like that. Good setup there.
You know, Hud, you can either overpower a hitter in the closer's role, or you can just simply disrupt their timing.
That's right. Finesse him. Smart pitching and good command. Like Soria. Soria only made one mistake, and it was to Rasmus out over the middle there, but he was on his spot. He was hitting his spots.
Omar Infante had a double back in the 2nd inning. He is 1 for 3 and thought about a bunt. He had Valbuena very deep on the left side. Omar has just 1 career at bat against Gregerson. And he's 0 for 1. Nobody has scored since the 1st inning. 0-2. He's probably one of those guys too, Hud, that you can't wait to face him again. Like, doggone it, I just missed him.
Yeah.
And you go up again and you just miss him again.
That's the kind of pitcher that will give you fits.
Not going to intimidate you or scare you.
Nope. Try to wait him out.
That ball gets away from Castro. This is going to be a long throw, and it's on the money. So a 3-2 game goes to the bottom of the 9th inning. And Wade Davis will get Evan Gattis, Luis Valbuena, and Jason Castro. back to the Division Series Game 4. The Royals with a 3-run lead in the bottom of the 9th inning. Wade Davis came on, struck out 2, got a fly ball to right from Carlos Gomez. That's how that incredible comeback ended for the Royals. The schedule said that there was 1 game remaining, but emotionally that series was over after Game 4.
Without a doubt. That's what happens sometimes in those pressure-packed games, especially at home, where the Astros thought it was over. I mean, fans, players, Royals broke their heart and went on to win their 2nd world title.
So it's Evan Gattis to lead off his first game back from the disabled list. First big league game back from the disabled list. 0 for 3 against Davis, and he's 0 for 3 tonight with a couple of strikeouts.
Keep that ball down there where Salvi wants it, on the outer half. He's got a good cutter. We all know that. Overhand curveball.
Give him something
across the plate somewhere.
You're going to take away the outside from him. You got to give him the inside. Ooh.
Salvi didn't even flinch.
I guess not.
Pretty good. He's tough.
There is a certain sound the baseball makes when it hits a particular area of protection for a catcher, and I thought I heard it. 2-2. And by the way, we're not whining about Cedars from now because it's the bottom of the 9th inning. In the 1st inning, both sides, we thought it was a very hitter-friendly strike zone. A defensive swing, as Hud would call it.
Emergency hack.
But it keeps him alive.
That's right. That's what they call it, man. They just want to stay alive. That's the beauty.
Salvi sets up down and away. And it is down and away. No chance you'd hear a "Let's Go Royals" last night when the Astros had their home opener with over 43,000, but a much smaller crowd here tonight as the Royals are trying to even the series. Did he go?
Yes,
sure looked like it. Yes, he did. Oh yeah.
Kind of good job of selling it though. Gattis running down the line like it was ball 4.
And now Luis Valbuena. Cutter in on the knuckles, 0-1. Valbuena is 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. This is his first regular season at bat against Wade Davis. 0-2. We told you last inning when the Royals had a lead after 7 innings last year, they were 73-3. After 8 innings, they were 82-1. 1-2 on Valbuena.
Well, when you have this type of reliable closer, and of course Greg Holland had some of that last season as well, it's pretty tough on hitters. Mid-90s, sometimes 96, 97, depending on how he feels, but that cutter is really amazing, and that overhand curve is a tough one too. So if Davis don't make too many mistakes.
That was off of Salvi's glove or wrist. Gary Cederstrom immediately asked Salvi if he was all right. During the Minnesota series, Salvi got crossed up on a pitch from Wade Davis and took a pitch right off the inside of his left forearm. 3-2.
They're getting ahead 0-2. He's trying to get Valbuena to swing out of the strike zone. So far, it hasn't worked. See what he comes back with here.
Davis wants to put him away with a curveball. And Valbuena laid off it. Pretty good coming back from 0-2 against Davis.
So Marisnick will pinch run for him. He's their pinch run deluxe, pinch runner. And, you know, they thought Valbuena, who typically is an aggressive hitter, was going to swing at that.
This is Jason Castro's first at bat. Erik Kratz was the starting catcher tonight. Kratz was pinch hit for in the 7th. Marisnick has not attempted a stolen base yet this year. Castro's had a little bit of success against Wade Davis with a double and a single in 5 at bats. Cutter 0-1.
Marisnick ripped off 24 bags last season for the Astros.
On a team that led the league in stolen bases.
Got caught 9 times.
Not running. 1-1. Not running again, and Castro is down in the count, 1-2.
Well, you know, with Castro's ability to hit the long ball, and then you got Altuve coming up behind him. I don't know if A.J. Hinch wants to take a chance of making an out there with Marisnick. So he's a good runner, but sometimes you're taking a chance, especially with a Gold Glove catcher with an arm like Salvi. So he's staying put so far.
2-2. Davis was ahead of Gattis. The count went to 3-2. Gattis struck out. He was ahead of Valbuena 0-2. And Valbuena ended up walking, and now Castro is trying to get back into the count. And it's 3-2. $21,027 for game 2 of the series.
Want to make him earn it. Altuve comes up with runners at first and second. He'll be tough to double up. Can run if he can hit.
Not running, and ball 4. So Davis has walked the last 2. Again, Valbuena was 0-2 in the count. Castro at one point was 1-2 in the count. The tying run is at scoring position, and the potential winning run is at first. For Wade Davis, that's 4 walks in 3 1/3 innings.
It's not like him, especially getting ahead of hitters. He's being a little bit too fine, trying to get him to swing out of the zone instead of going right after him. Altuve hasn't never gotten a base hit, 0 for 7, and he'll be tough to double up unless he can get him to hit it right at somebody.
And you could tell with that pitch from Davis. I mean, that was a all right. I'm done messing around.
Yep.
He just went right at him.
Rest of the bullpen's done a fantastic job after Medlin went 5. Wants to bear down here.
It took Davis 17 appearances last year to get to 4 walks.
Right.
1 ball and 1 strike. He's been here before. Third ball inside, 2-1. This inning started with a strikeout against Gaddis. And now walk, and 3-1 on Altuve.
You walk 1 in the 9th inning in the opponent's ballpark, that's tough. You walk 2, you're looking for trouble. You walk 3, man, you're going to take a Houdini act to get out of this one.
He went around, and that could have been ball 4.
Davis having some command issues, obviously.
That shows you how good that cutter is. Altuve thought he had a straight fastball near the middle of the plate. Fly ball right field. Marisnick goes to the bag and just takes a step off the bag, and that's it. 2 down.
All right, that was a good pitch. He got it just up enough to where he couldn't really barrel it. He was right there, challenged him.
.26 pitches, so Salvador Perez goes out there, give him a chance to catch his breath and talk about what they want to do with George Springer. When the game is over, it's Boulevard Royals Live with Joel and Monty. And if Davis can save it, who would have thought after 1 inning the Royals would win 3-2? But that was the score after 1 inning. Nobody has scored since. The Royals got 3 on Kane's home run in the top of the first. The Astros got 2 in the bottom of the first on RBIs from Rasmus and White. Breaking ball, strike 1 over the inside.
There it is. Got the good release, stayed on top of that one. Davis, you rarely see him pull his shoulder off of the ball. And he normally is always north and south. He lines up really good with Salvi. He's just a tad off tonight, but good enough to come back. He's shown his ability before.
Down and away, Springer faces Davis for the first time in the regular season. The Astros saw quite a bit of Davis in the postseason. So it's not his first ever look at Wade Davis. He has Marisnick at second base, Castro at first. Curveball just inside. So the curveball's in there for him. Every pitch is in there for him tonight, just not consistently.
Yeah.
Ryan. 2-2.
Great spot. He's last couple fastballs, he's driven right down through the ball. Stay on top. That shoulder is heading right to Salvi, staying down in the zone.
Another 3-2 count. So he has been 3-2 with all 5 hitters.
Yeah, that's a lot of pitches thrown. Royals fans a little bit nervous here, but they have confidence in Davis. He can get out of it. May not have his best command, but
now the added advantage for the Astros to have the runners going.
Cutter away.
They'll do it again. Yeah, that pretty well timed.
He was right on it. He's had best command with his fastball.
Runners go. Game over.
Oh, yeah.
No sweat.
There it was. He said, all right, here it is. And he took it. Split the dish in two. Ah, waiter, give me that check.
So I asked you in the second inning, Hud, is this going to be a 3-2 game?
And absolutely not.
I was right there with you, but that's it. All the scoring was done in the first.